So one of the questions that I get the most is should I invest in the S&P 500 or should I invest in real estate? Now the answer to that, it depends, and basically it depends on your age, where do you live, what are your financial objectives, and what are you trying to accomplish anyways. Now I feel qualified to make this video because I've been doing both for about 25 years, and I can give you some good insights if you are on the fence. First of all, I want to say that real estate, what I mean in this video is income properties, and what I specifically mean is rental properties. Now, of course, you can make money in real estate in many different ways. You can buy a fixer-upper and sell it. You can sell it, finance it. You can wholesale it. Now, of course, there are ways that you can make money just by buying a fixer-upper, fixing it, and selling it right away. That also depends, again, in which state you live, which city. Let's say that there are linear markets where the price of real estate is more stable. And then there are areas like Las Vegas or Miami where the real estate price fluctuates a lot. So my short answer to that, at least based on my experience, I would invest into the S&P 500. And now I'm gonna explain to you why. And I've been thinking of this a lot, and I believe that the arguments are stronger for the S&P 500. Now, of course, I understand that some of you might like real estate better because it's physical, you can touch it, you can improve it, you have full control on it. You can do whatever you want on it, and that's great. And if that's you, that's great. Keep doing what you're doing. But if you are a new investor and you are looking at your options, in my humble opinion, based on my 25-year experience, I would go with the S&P 500. Let's say that, generally speaking, the S&P 500 gives you a better protection on unknowns. Okay, the S&P 500 basically are the 500 best companies in the United States, and they are weighted on market cap. What that means is that, let's say that the first one that weighs more on the S&P 500, I believe that now is Apple. Nvidia is a close number 2. But let's say Apple. If Apple was to drop, if Apple stock price was to drop, well, then the percentage of this big pie, which is Apple, that I think now it's about 7%. Well, if the stock price of Apple was to plummet, well, then that percentage is going to go down to 6, 5, 4, 3, 2%. Now, if there is one stock in the S&P 500 that underperforms, well, then in that case, that stock is not going to be in the S&P 500 for long. They're gonna kick it out and replace it with a better stock. So let's say that with the S&P 500, at any given minute, you stay sure that it doesn't get any better than that when it comes to the US stock market. And that also gives you diversification because unless there was a huge event like a war or a pandemic or something huge like that where all stocks fall, let's say with the S&P 500 it gives you only by buying one ticker, and we can go over that. There are a few brokerages that offer the very same ETF that track the S&P 500 with very low cost. I mean, you can buy all of the US stock market for close to nothing. You are better diversified because really, what is the chance that Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, Meta, Amazon, Google, Walmart, Procter & Gamble, JP Morgan, Bank of America, what is the chance that all of those companies go to zero? Really, I would say that it's close to zero. Okay, now they could drop, but with the S&P 500, if something happens to a company, there is a bad news on Apple, for example, where then the stock price might fall 20-25%, but really if you own the S&P 500, it might drop 1-2%, because they are going immediately to adjust the percentages. Now those are extreme cases, of course, because I don't foresee anytime soon that for regular reasons the Apple stock price would fall 20-25%, but anything can happen. Now if you own straight Apple, you're gonna have a loss there of 20-25%, but because you own Apple through the S&P 500, let's say that you get the benefits of the appreciation, but if things go wrong, you're not gonna get the side effects. I believe that the S&P 500 gives you, again, what you need. You are diversified. You can buy the same ticker for the next 10, 15, 20, 30 years, and you never have to worry about it. And we got 200 years of history to demonstrate that the S&P 500 annualized delivers about 10, 11, 12% each year. Now compare that if you put all your eggs into a piece of real estate, and it could be a very good real estate, but you are limited. You don't diversify at all. You really bet everything on your city. I mean, the city where you buy your house. And if something happens to that city, if there was to be a huge employer on that city and they decide to move, now what are you gonna do? The stock price is gonna plummet, etc. And then you are so limited to one street address. Now, what happens if your next door neighbor begins to sell drugs, or he rents it out to some people and they are bad people? They're gonna break into everyone in the neighborhood. See, what happens is that with real estate, you are really betting on that street, on that city block, on that city, And when it hits the fan, you're gonna be in trouble with real estate because you're not diversified at all. Okay, and you're taking a huge chance buying a piece of real estate. But even if you buy a multifamily, you are still constrained into that building. It can be a nice building, but if you move in some bad tenants, they're gonna then to where all those others they might wanna leave, and they don't give you a good reason for it. They just want their deposit back, and you're gonna find yourself with 50-60% vacancies. Now, I'm talking about generality. Okay, I'm not even to get into numbers and what is the overall return of the S&P 500 versus real estate, but it depends on your personality. Okay, there are people more comfortable with the S&P 500, and there are people more comfortable owning a piece of real estate. I want to share now here is saying what are the benefits of investing in real estate. Of course, leverage. It is a benefit, but leverage can also come at your detriment, because go ask all the homeowners in 2008 when they bought a house with the down payment and a low interest, and when the market turned on them, well, then first thing, they lost the down payment, and they had to refinance. The house value plummet. They got stuck with high monthly payments, so they were better off refinancing, and by doing that, they put down 20-25%, that they lost it immediately. So leverage, it's a good thing of real estate, but I mean, I can buy the S&P 500 on leverage. For that reason, there are margin accounts, or I can get a loan. I can go out to a bank and get a signature loan, or I can borrow money. There are countless ways you can borrow money from a bank. And I can use that to invest into the S&P 500. But so leverage is a good thing, but it can also be a bad thing. I would recommend that if you buy a house and you buy a house for you to live in, buy it cash. And if it's your first time, you are a first-time home buyer, buying a fixer-upper that you can pay cash for it and never have to worry about being foreclosed upon, or letters from your bank or from an insurance. So next is cash flow. The cash flow could be to where real estate is profitable, but once again, that depends on your country, the state that you live in, what city, what area of the city, because that is the ratio between the yearly, monthly, or rather, the yearly rent income and the price of the house. So in most cases, let's say that you are buying a house in California and I don't know, you pay $2 million for it. That thing might probably rent now for $4 or $5 grand a month, and your mortgage might very well be $8 grand. So there are areas or states where it doesn't even make sense, the cash flow. Now, if you live in a state like I do in North Carolina, you live in the Sun Belt states like Florida, Alabama, Texas. Let's say the red states are better to own real estate as a landlord. If you own property in Kansas, Missouri, you own property in South Carolina or Tennessee. Those are states where you can make more cash flow because home prices are more affordable. There is a lot of rental demand, and you can actually make it to where the cash flow works out for you. Number three, it says here low volatility. Now, of course, we all know that the stock market is more volatile than real estate, but it is more volatile because it's so liquid, okay? And what happens is that people by nature, they are going to overreact. If there is a bad news, they are going to overreact for the bad, and the stock price is gonna drop. But then if there is a good news, the stock is gonna rally for no reason, possibly driven by fear of missing out. But it's normal that stocks are more volatile because you can buy and sell a stock with the click of a mouse, or you don't even need a mouse. You can do everything on your phone from your bedroom, and you can sell huge quantity of stocks. I mean, selling 10 grand of a stock, 100 grand, a million, it takes the same time, okay? This is one thing that I cannot really say for real estate, because if you have a house which is 200 grand, but now if you have 5 houses, they're 200 grand each, it's gonna take 5 times the headache to get rid of those houses. And I can imagine you want to sell it at a market price, unless you want to give them away. But if you want to get your money out of it, it might take at least 90 days. I believe on average, US average is 90 days to sell a house, let's say market value, but it could be way longer. My personal experience, I've had properties for sale for nearly 2 years. So, the thing is that I feel more comfortable owning the S&P 500 or stocks in general, because if I need the money, I can sell it immediately, and I like staying liquid. And like it's been said, money is in the money. Okay, number 4, it says that these investments are independent of each other. Okay, that can be a good thing, but I mean, you can diversify in different ways. You don't have to buy real estate, you can buy art, or you can have a collection of watches, or you can buy other things. You can invest in a business, okay? You can buy and sell. There are a lot of things. You can buy your home team if you have that capability. Now, what are the drawbacks of investing in real estate? Real estate is highly illiquid. Like I was saying, selling a piece of real estate can really be a headache, and I am a living proof of that. I had to sell some of my income properties, and they all had tenants in it, and I had to do a lot of work. You have to do the repairs, you have to find the buyer. First you have to find a listing agent, and then a buyer, and then if it's a financing buyer, the financing can always fall through, and it's a huge waste of time. And in the meantime, he's got the key to your building, to do the due diligence, and he's gonna disturb the tenants. And after 2 months of having a house under contract, they might always walk away from the deal, and basically you've lost a lot of leads, you've lost a lot of time, and you gotta start everything from scratch. Look, this might even be the number one reason why I like real estate, or rather, I don't like real estate. It's because it's illiquid. Okay, and people are saying my house is worth a half a million or a million on paper. You know, it's only worth a million when you sell it for a million. You know. The other thing too, I'm gonna transition to number two. Real estate has high maintenance costs. Of course, look, the only thing that we know for sure about buying real estate is that you're gonna get stuck with the property tax bill. That is the only thing that I know for sure. Now, of course, if you're buying it with the mortgage, well, then you're gonna have a monthly mortgage to pay. In that case, you're gonna have to buy insurance, and then along the way, you're gonna have to fix it. You're gonna have to repair the house timely, because a small problem can translate very, very quickly in a huge problem. Okay, like if you have a roof leak and you don't take care of it, it can be a small roof leak, but if you neglect it, that thing might be really bad. It might damage the whole floor, the whole house. You might be in for much more than only fixing the roof. So you're gonna have to eventually replace a lot of things, the pipes. If the house is old, it's got galvanized pipe, you're gonna replace those. The electrical is old, you're gonna have to update that. Eventually the HVAC is old. The appliances usually have 10, 15, 20 year lifespan. You're gonna have to replace those. So again, the only true thing about real estate is that you're gonna have a lot of expenses. Now compare that to owning stocks or owning the S&P 500. Now no one knows what the price is gonna do. It might go up, it might go down, it might go crazy down, it might go up, it might spiral down again. But you buy it, you're gonna hold it 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years. The S&P 500, okay, the price might go up and down, but really, how much did it cost you? Nothing. How much does it cost you to hold the S&P 500? Only holding it, how much does it cost you? Nothing. Now, of course, really, it'll cost you 0.03%, because if you buy the S&P 500 through State Street, in that case the ticker is SPY. You can buy the same thing through Vanguard. In that case the ticker is VOO. You can buy through BlackRock. In that case the ticker is IVV. But anyways, they only charging you a fee of 0.03% of your investment, which is really close to nothing. For close to nothing, you can own the whole stock market, and you can be sure that is always what you own is as good. It doesn't get any better than that. At any given minute, they adjust those percentages, adjust those companies to where at any given minute it doesn't get any better than that. But that's also why I believe that 99% of actively managed funds underperform the S&P 500, and they charge you more points. Here is saying high barrier to entry. Of course, to buy real estate, you're gonna have to have the money. I mean, you can finance it, but then eventually, if you wanna grow your portfolio, then you're gonna be stuck after 4 mortgages or after 10. You can't really, then You always have to submit 2-year tax return. You gotta have a good credit. Your FICO score. I mean, you're gonna have 6 months of reserve. Look, buying a house with the financing could be a headache. Real estate's got low diversification, of course, for what I was saying, high transaction costs, because of course every time that you buy and sell real estate, you have to pay the commissions, you gotta make the repairs, the closing costs, and etc. Real estate is not passive. Like I was saying, the S&P 500 is totally passive. You don't have to do anything, and it pays you 1.5% of dividend. So next thing I was gonna talk about is the prices. The only thing that the other thing that I was talking about is the stock prices versus house prices. So now you can see here, like stocks are more volatile. The blue line are stocks, and now of course this was the dot-com bubble in 2000. This right here was the crashes of 2008. And now, of course, like you see here, the stock prices have had a huge run over the past 15 years. And now you can make an argument where, what if I bought the S&P 500 at the very top and then I sold it for a loss? But here I'm talking about buying it and holding it for like 10, 15, 20 years, and over the long run the S&P 500 always overperform, or rather outperform the home prices. Okay, now there is another chart showing the home prices adjusted for inflation. And in that case, basically it's a flat line. Basically, and we all know that real estate barely keeps up with inflation. And that's the home price. You don't even keep up with inflation. I don't know if it's worth your money. Now, you can make another argument saying that your grandmother bought a house for 50 grand and then she sold it for 250 grand. She held it for 20 years and she sold it for a huge capital gain. Now, in that case, really her gain, you can tell, okay, 250 grand, she paid 50 grand for it. The capital gain is 200 grand. But you couldn't really make that argument because every year she's had to fix the house. Every year she's had to pay property taxes on that house. Every year she had to pay insurance premium on that house. She had to replace the roof a couple of times. She had to replace the appliances a couple of times. Okay, she had to pay the commission fee, which is 6%. So when you buy a house, again, the only thing that you know for sure are the fees and the costs that you're going to incur. That property tax is not going to go away up until the day that you sell that house. And even if you have tenants in it, you have to keep paying, of course, but even if you have a vacant, only to hold a house vacant, you're gonna have to make repairs, because very well it can be that the roof leaks, or you have to keep up with the grounds, you have to cut grass, you have to make sure that you don't have any leaks in the house, that nothing bad happens to the house. And if the house is vacant, it might get broken in, and you'll have to make the repairs accordingly. So, like I was saying, you can buy the S&P 500 and forget that you even own it. And again, after 10, 15, 20 years, you need the money, you can sell it, or whenever you need the money, you can sell it. But when you buy a house, now this thing is very, very illiquid, okay? And being illiquid, you need the money. What are you gonna do? You know, it's, if you need to go buy groceries, you can't go to the grocery store with the window of your house. They're gonna laugh your ass out of the store. You'll have to have the cash in your pocket. Okay, so again, the money is in the money. Now here, of course, it's a no-brainer that stock prices outperform real estate by a lot. And actually, stock prices adjusted for inflation too, they go up quite a bit. There was another chart of stock prices adjusted for inflation, but anyways, it looks the very same, but it doesn't have that much of a slope. Of course, the same curvature. It's normal. The inflation is always gonna go up. I believe that the target inflation is 2%, but we've had 4, 5, 6, 7% and more. I remember that those are numbers provided by the U.S. government, and the real inflation is what you pay at the grocery store, or what you pay at the pump. So you tell me if it was 2-3%. But anyways, the S&P 500 outperformed inflation. It has outperformed inflation since the beginning. I feel like wrap it up this video right here. If you have any questions, feel free to put it in the comments or reach out to me. I am offering a free analysis of your portfolio. If you have questions on this video, you are on the fence of buying S&P 500, investing in stocks, or investing into real estate, again, feel free to reach out.